In this one, DE is parallel to BC, so these two sides are parallel. And measure of angle A is equal to 60. And the measure of angle DEC, as we can see, is 125. What the measure of angle B? By the way, measure of angle B is equal measure of angle ADE, and the reason because they are corresponding angles. And measure of angle E is equal to measure of angle C also for the same reason. So these angles are supplementary one. So measure of angle AED is 180 minus 125, which is 55 degrees. So in the triangle ADE, I have in this triangle, this angle is 60 and this angle is 55. So measure of angle ADE is 180 minus the sum of 60 and 55, which is 115. So the measure of the angle is 65. So the answer is C. ABC is an equilateral triangle, and we know that since it's equilateral triangle, the three sides are equal and each side is equal to 10. Segment DC is equal to 5. Since DC is equal to 5, so DB is equal to 5. So AD bisects BC. And since it's bisect, it's perpendicular. So AD is also perpendicular to BC. He's asking for what? He's asking for the length of AD. So I have a right angle triangle, so I can use the Pythagorean theorem. For the triangle ADC. This side is 10 and that side is 5. So I wanted to find one of the leg. So AD is equal root of the hypotenuse square minus the other leg square. So it's root 100 minus 25, which is root of 75. Now, how I can simplify 75? If you don't know how to simplify root of 75, you can use the vice versa of the method. For example, 5 root 2, when I put 5 inside, it's gonna be 25 multiplied by 2, so this one is root 50. So A is not the answer. 5 root 3, when I put the 5 inside the root, it's 25 multiplied by 3, which is root of 75. So B is the answer. 10 root 2 is 100 multiplied by 2, which is root 200. 10 root 3, it's root of 300. If you don't know how to simplify this one, you can use the old method of division. 75 divided by 5 is give me 15, divided by 5 is give me 3, divided by 3 is give me to 1. So from each repeated two numbers, I'm taking 1, and this one is taking the root. So it's 5 root 3. If you are smart enough, you can write 75 as 25 multiplied by 3. And the 25 jump up or jump outside the root as 5, so it's a 5 root of 3. Which of the following statement is a line is passing through these 2 points is true? First, I need to find the slope. And the slope is y2 minus y1, difference of the y, over difference of the x coordinates. So it's 4 minus 4 over 3 minus negative 2. So it's 0 over 5, which is equal to 0. In case of the slope is equal to 0, so the straight line is a vertical or a horizontal straight line. In case of the slope is 0, the straight line is a horizontal line. Very good. So it's a horizontal line, and in case of horizontal, it's a parallel to the x-axis. But in case of the slope is undefined, it's a vertical line parallel to the y-axis. So here, horizontal line parallel to the x-axis. So the slope is negative, slope is positive, undefined, so we are going to choose D. Slope is 0. Line L and line K are perpendicular. If the slope of the straight line L is 3, what is the slope of the straight line K? And if it's contained the point 5 and 8, 2 and y, what is the value of y? We all know that if you have a straight line which is perpendicular to another straight line, then the product of their slope is equal to -1. So easier, if the slope of the first line L, if the slope of L is 3, then the slope of K is -1 over 3. I'm flipping and changing the sign, opposite reciprocal of the first one. Now, the slope, as we said, is y2 minus y1, so y minus 2 over, y minus 8 over 2 minus 5. This slope is supposed to be -1 over 3. You don't have to make cross multiplication here because you don't have a lot of time and you may not allow to use calculator. So y minus 8 over -3 is equal -1 over 3. So by moving this negative, which is here, and this one is 3, this base is 3, so y minus 8 is supposed to be 1 by comparing the ratio on both sides, or by comparing the proportion. So y is equal to what? Y is equal to 9. Or you may ask yourself, what the number that I subtract 8 and divided by 3 to give me 3? You will figure out that the answer is C. So the right answer here, the right answer here is what? Is C. If the point 3 and 5, if the point 3 and 5 here, and the point, its image is 5 and 3, then its reflection. You will find here is the rules for the reflections. If I wanted to reflect the point x and y, and here is example for the point. If the point 1 and 2, and I wanted to reflect it on the straight line y is equal x, to clarify it for you, y is equal x is that straight line, the diagonal between the x-axis and the y-axis. This is y is equal x. And of course, this straight line is y is equal -x. Here is the x-axis and here is the y-axis. So if the point 3 and 5 and its image is 5 and 3, what happened to the point to be 5 and 3? We will notice that x and y, we change it to y and x. So x and y, change it to y and x. So we are going to choose the first choices, which is y is equal x. So the answer is C. Notice here that if he is asking about the reflection of the x-axis, the same as y is equal 0. A is 3 and 5 and its image is B, 5 and -3. Then the rotation, here is the rules for the rotation. If the point x and y, and here is example. For example, if the point 1 and 2 and you wanted to rotate it 90 degrees, of course all of this rotation is a positive, and the positive is anti-clockwise. Positive is anti-clockwise. So the point is going to be -2 and 1. I'm flipping x and y, I'm changing the sign of the first. If it's 180, I'm changing only the sign of both of the numbers. And if it's 2 and -1, so I'm flipping and changing the value of y. So we can notice here that 3 and 5 become 5 and -3. So I flip and I change the second. So the answer is 270 degrees. 270 degrees. To figure out the value of sine 300, I should find the reference angle. What is the reference angle of 300? 300 is lies in the fourth quadrant. If you draw an angle of measure 300, you will figure out that it lies in the fourth quadrant. And the sign in the fourth quadrant, as we follow the rule of ASTC, the sign, only the cosine in the fourth is positive, so the sign is negative. So I am sure that the answer is not C or A. It's B or D. Now, to figure out the reference angle of 300, I'm applying the rule. And the rule for the fourth quadrant is 360 minus theta. So you may ask yourself, 360 minus what to be 300? So theta here is equal 60. So I'm looking for sine 60. But not only sine 60, I'm looking for negative sine 60. Negative sine 60. So it's negative, and sine 60 is root 3 over 2. So the answer is B. Cosine 420. To find the cosine of 420, I need to find the reference angle of 420. But first, I need to subtract 360 from 420. Why? Because it's more than 360. So 420 minus 360 is 60 degrees. And 60 degrees lies in the first quadrant. First quadrant. Between 0 and 90. And all of the sine, cosine, and tan are positive. So I'm going to cancel D and I'm going to cancel P. And I'm sure that the answer is A or C. So cosine 420 in this case is the same as cosine 60. And cosine 60 is half. So the answer is C. To solve question 9, you need to know the rule which says that sine 2 theta is equal to sine theta cosine theta. Notice that here is the angle and here is half of the angle. So if we wrote on the right, 2 sine 15 cosine 15, so double of 15 is the same as sine 30. So 2 sine 15 cosine 15 is equal to sine 30. And all of you know that sine 30 is equal to half. So the answer is C. To figure out sine 15, you need to apply the rule of sine A minus B. Sine A minus B is sine A cosine B minus sine B cosine A. So you are looking for two angles, the difference between them is 15. So 45 minus 30 will be very easy to calculate. So sine 45 cosine 30 minus sine 30 cosine of 45. Sine of 45 is root 2 over 2 multiply cosine 30, which is root 2 over 2, minus sine 30, which is half, cosine 45 the same as sine 45, which is root 2 over 2. So this side is 4 after multiplying 2 by 2, and root 2 by root 3 is root 6, minus, sorry, this is half. 2 by 2, which is 4, and 1 by root 2 is root 2. I have the same denominator, which is 4, and I'm going to subtract the numerator. So it's root 6 minus root 2. So the answer is B. Sine angle is equal 3 over 5, and this angle is between 90 and 180. And 90 to 180 is the second quadrant. We know that the first quadrant lies between 0 degree and 90 degrees. Second quadrant between 90 and 180. Third quadrant between 180 and 270. Fourth one between 270 and 360. So the angle is here. And we follow ASTC. So the sign here is positive. So I am sure that the tan is negative. So I'm going to cancel from my mind that the answer could be A or C, because the tan should be negative. I'm going to draw a right angle triangle, or I prefer if you can draw the triangle in the second quadrant. This is more professional. So here is the angle. Sine is equal opposite over hypotenuse. So the opposite is 3 and the hypotenuse of 5. So of course the adjacent is 4 regarding the well-known right angle triangle 3, 4, 5, and this is negative 4 because this is the negative part of the x-axis. So negative 4, 3, and 5, and I wanted to find the tan. Tan of the angle is equal adjacent over the hypotenuse. Adjacent here is negative 4 and the hypotenuse is 5. So the answer is, sorry, this is the cosine. The tan is adjacent, sorry, the tan is opposite over adjacent. Opposite over adjacent. The one I figured out was the cosine. Opposite over the adjacent, opposite is 3 and the adjacent is negative 4, which can be written as negative 3 over 4 or can be written as negative 3 divided by 4. So the right answer is D. Tan is negative 3 over 4 and the angle is in the second quadrant. So in the second quadrant you are going to draw a triangle. Here is the angle theta. Here is the right angle. Tan is equal opposite over adjacent. So the opposite is 3 and the adjacent is negative 4. So this side is 5. 3, 4, 5 is a well-known right angle triangle. And if I wanted to find sine, sine is equal opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite is positive 3 and the hypotenuse is 5. So the answer is 3 over 5, which is C. Sine times sec times cotan. Sine is sine. Sec is the reciprocal of cosine. So it's 1 over cosine. Cotan is the reciprocal of tan, but we don't write it as 1 over tan. We write it as cosine over sine. So we all know that sine angle over cosine, the same angle, is the tan of the angle. So cotan of the angle is cosine over sine. Okay, this is multiplication. So easy, I can cancel cosine and I can cancel the sine, so the remainder is 1 by 1 by 1. So the answer is D. What is the ninth term in this term? I may not ask about the ninth term. I may ask about the first, second, third, whatever the term is. We know that since the power is 10, so I have 11 terms. I have 11 terms. The first term is x to the power of 10. And the last term is 1 to the power of 10. So the first term is x to the power of 10, x taking the power, and the last term is 1 taking the power. So we are going to decrease with the values of x. So the 10th term is x to the power of 1, and the term before x to the power of 1 is x to the power of 2. Because here is x to the power 3, x to the power 4, x to the power 5, and if we start the first term with 10, of course the 9th term will be second degree. The only one with second degree is x to the power of 2. طب Mr. Hisham, where the coefficient is? I don't think you will have enough time in this test to solve it without calculator, but for the students who wants to know, the ninth term is figured out by multiplying 3 terms. 10c 8, because we go back of the 9 1, 10c8, and the first term, which is x, to the power of the difference between 10 and 8, which is 2, so difference between 10 and 8, and the second term, which is 1 to the power of the base. Okay, Mr. Hisham. So this is 10c2. 10c8 is 10 by 9 by 6 by till 9 10 by 9 by 8 by 7 till multiply by 1 divided by 8 by 7 by 6. So the final answer of this question is going to be 45x to the power of 2. The equation curve of the function g of x by shifting function f of x, absolute value of x. The graph of the absolute value of x is a letter V that is symmetric about the origin. Now I am going to move 3 units up. So I moved on the y-axis 3 units up. Then 4 units to the right. Then 4 units to the right. So the vertex will be here. And the vertex is going to be 4 and 3. Shifting up, this is a change outside the function. But shifting to the right, this is a change inside the function itself. What does it mean? And by the way, if it's up, it's a positive 3. And if it's down, it's negative 3. Shifting to the right is negative, but shifting to the left is positive. So in case of x-axis, you are changing the sign. If it's plus, you make it minus. If it's minus, you make it plus. So I am looking for 4 inside the absolute value, positive 4. So I'm going to concentrate about D and B. And positive 3 outside. So the answer is B, because positive 3 is outside the function itself. It means outside the absolute value. And positive 4 inside the function. So to describe for you A minus 4 and 3, it means that you move to the right 3. I did a mistake. Yes, it's A, sorry. It's minus 4 and positive 3, because this is moved to the right and up. But positive 4, you move to the left and up 3. Negative 4 and negative 3, you move to the right, but you go down 3. And positive 4 minus 3, you move to the left and you go down. So the answer is A. 3 down on the y-axis, so this is minus 3 outside the function f of x. And 4 units to the left, so this is positive 4, so it's f of x plus 4. The function is absolute value of x. So inside the function, I'm going to add 4. And outside, I'm going to subtract 3. So the answer is D. Add 4 and subtract 3. The equation of the curve of the function g of x by shifting of the function reflection about the y-axis. Reflection about the y-axis. Reflection about the y-axis means that you are adding negative, but this negative is outside the function. So if it's negative, if it's negative f of x, this is reflection about the y-axis. And if it's f of negative x, this is reflection about the x-axis. So the absolute value is absolute value of x. This is the function. So I'm looking for y-axis, so I should put the negative outside. So the answer is B. But what about A? A, this is reflection about the x-axis. But what about C? This is reflection about the x and the y. And what about D? This is the function itself. The equation of the curve of the function g of x by shifting the function 4 units to the right. Shifting the function 4 units to the right. So you move the function to the right. So it's minus 4 for f of x. So it's f of x minus 4. And reflection about the x-axis, it means it's f of negative x. I'm changing the value of x. The function is x. So I replaced x with negative x and I subtract 4. So the answer is C. Reflection and moving to the right. And arithmetic sequences. Arithmetic sequences mean that you are adding the same number every time. Its 9th term is 76 and its 8th terms is 83. So what is the difference between 83 and 76? This gives you the common difference between the common difference here. It means the number that you are adding or subtracting each time. So 83 minus 76, which is equal to, yes, 7. So each time I'm adding 7. So if I start with the first term here, each time I'm adding 7. You may think that here is the first term 83, here is the term before, which is 76. So I may subtract 7, subtract 7, subtract 7, and so on. So if you follow this method, yes, it's okay if you can subtract and you will figure out the answer. There is another method that says that 10th term is equal A1 plus 9D. 9D, the common difference here. So 10th term, which is 83, equal the first term, the one that I'm looking for, multiplied by 9 by 7. So 83 is equal A1 plus 9 by 7 is 63. By moving 63 to the other side, so the first term is 20. So without using the rules, you can subtract each time 7 if you are moving backwards, or you can start with any of these terms and start adding 7 until you reach 83. What is the sum of arithmetic sequences? We have two rules for the sum of the arithmetic sequences. Sn is equal n over 2, 2a plus n minus 1 multiplied by the common difference, or Sn is equal n over 2 a plus l. Where is a is the first term and l is the last term. In this case, it says that the first term is 3 and the last term is 21, and all counted 11. It means that n is equal to 11. All of them are 11 terms. So it's easier for me to use this rule. So let's apply it. S of 11 terms, 11 over 2. First term is 3, second term is, last term is 21. So it's 11 over 2 multiplied by 24, and 24 divided by 2 is 12. So it's 11 multiplied by 12. And 11 by 12 is 480. What is the sum of the infinite geometric sequences if the first term is 5 and the ratio is half? Ratio, which is the common ratio r, so r is 0.5, and we all know that the absolute value of r should be between 0 and 1. If it's not between 0 and 1, you can't find s infinity. And the first term, which is a1, is 5. S infinity for the geometric sequences is a over 1 minus r. So 5 over 1 minus half, which is 5, divided by half, which is 10. So the answer is B. Again, the geometric mean between two values, x is equal root of a times b. Geometric mean means that the three values is form geometric sequences. So a over x is equal to x over b, where is x is the geometric mean. So x is equal negative 12 multiplied by negative 2, which is root of 24. Root of 24. Root of 24 is 2 root 6 in simplest form if he asked for it. The arithmetic mean between two values, for example a and b, is a plus b divided by 2. The same as the average mean. So the mean here is negative 6 plus 20 divided by 2, which is 14, divided by 2, which is 7. So the answer is C. The sum of the first 500 terms, and this is a recurring decimal, you are repeating the same term every time. So it's 500 terms, and each term, its value is 3, is 1500. So the answer is B. The graph of the absolute value is letter V passes through the origin. Letter V passes through the origin. So this curve here is decreasing, and here is increasing. Because if you are coming from the left to the right, you will go down. So this is decreasing and this is increasing. So here is the origin. So from negative infinity to 0 is decreasing, and from 0 to infinity is increasing. So the answer is C. The answer is C. The curve or the graphing of 2 to the power of x is exponential functions that it passes through the point 0 and 1, and it's all the function is increasing. So it's increasing for all the values of x from negative infinity to infinity. So the answer is A. What is the center of the circle whose equation is x minus 2 plus y squared is equal to 25? General form of the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared, whereas h and k are the center and r is the radius. By comparing between this equation and the given equation, r squared is equal to 25. So if he is asking about the radius will be 5. But if he's asking about x minus 2 squared plus y and he's asking for the center, so h here is 2 and this is y squared, there is no plus or minus, so it's 0. So h is equal to and k is equal 0. So the point is 2 and 0. 2 and 0. So what is the circle with the equation center? So h is negative 2 and k is 1 and radius is 5. So as given here, the equation of the circle is x minus h squared. So x minus negative 2 is going to be plus, and y minus k, which is 1, is equal r squared, which is root 5 squared, and root 5 squared is 5. So the answer is not A or B. Okay, and I wanted to reverse the sign. This is negative, so I'm taking positive, and this is positive, I'm taking negative, and the sign outside is positive. So the answer is D. To solve this question, we need to understand how we can compare between the kind of the equation and the coefficient here. Coefficient of x squared is A, and the coefficient of x squared here is 1, so A is 1. B is the coefficient of xy, and the coefficient of xy here is negative 2, so B is equal negative 2. C is the coefficient of supposed to be y squared, not x squared. There is a mistake here. So coefficient of y squared here is 4, so C is equal to 4. Now I plug in A and B and C in the formula b squared minus 4ac. So negative 2 squared minus 4, a is 1, c is 4. So negative 2 squared is 4, minus 4 by 4 is 16, so the answer is negative 12. I don't care about the answer if it's a big or small. I care about one of three things. If the value is 0 or positive or negative. So we can clearly see that here the value is negative. Value is negative. So the value is negative, I have two cases. If they are negative and the value of A is equal to C, but here A is not equal to C, so the graph or this equation represents an ellipse. But in case of A is equal to C, for example, this is 1 and 1, 4 and 4, it's represent a circle. A is the coefficient of x squared, so A is equal to 1. B is equal to negative 2. And C is equal to negative 4. So B squared minus 4 by A by C. B squared, so negative 2 squared, minus 4 by 1, and C is negative 4. So 4 minus and negative by negative will be positive 16, which is equal to 20. 20 is a positive value. And since it's a positive, so greater than 0, so it's a hyperbola. So the answer is 4. For question 33, if two interior angles of a triangle are 110 and 40. So you have a triangle one of its angle is 110 and the other one is 40. So of course the third angle here is 30. Why? Because the sum of the interior angle of the triangle is 180. He is asking about the exterior angle cannot be what? The exterior angle of the angle 110 is 70. The exterior angle of the angle 40 is 140. And the exterior angle of the angle 30 is 150. So the exterior angle could be 150, could be 70, could be 140, but it cannot be 160. So the answer is D. What is the area of the triangle if its base is as given, fraction functions, and its height is x minus 3? We know that the area of the triangle is half multiplied by the base area multiplied by the base length multiplied by the height multiplied by the height. So it's half multiplied by the base, which is x plus 1 over x squared minus 2x minus 3 multiplied by x minus 3. Now we need to simplify. So it's half. I need to factorize this denominator. To factorize this denominator, the last sign here is negative, so one is positive and the other is negative. Two numbers, the product is 3 and the difference is 2. So it's a 3 and 1, and the greatest take the sign of the middle. So it's x and x. Above we have x plus 1 and outside we have x minus 3. We are going to cancel x minus 3 with x minus 3 and x plus 1 with x plus 1. So the final will be half. So the area of this triangle is half. In a triangle ABC, if AC is equal to 3 and BC, if you wanted to draw the triangle, it's okay, no problem. So let's draw a triangle ABC. Measure of the angle ACB is equal to 30 and measure of the length AC is 3, measure of the length BC is 4. And I wanted to find the area. Area in this case, I'm not going to use half base by height. Why? Because I don't have the base and don't have the height, and it will take a long time to figure out what are the length of the A. So I'm going to use the rule which says that area of the triangle is half the product of two sides, multiplied by the sine of the angle between them. So half the product of the two sides, which are 4 and 3, multiplied sine the angle between them. And the angle between 4 and 3 is 30. So it's half by 12, which is 3 by 4. And sine 30, as we know, is half. Half by half is quarter, and quarter of 12 is 3. So the area of this triangle is 3.